Want to know where in life you are compassionate, intuitive, and a little bit gullible? Well, I am here to tell you all about your Pisces house. Hi, if you're new here, my name is Hannah and welcome back, Cosmic Warriors. Before we do dive into today's video, if you want to learn more about astrology, then head on over to the Cosmic Check-In podcast. And if you would like to book a reading with me, then go to hannahselsewhere.com. I hope you enjoy the video. Let's do this. All right, so before we get into Pisces through the houses, let me just take a moment to explain what your Pisces house means, what your Pisces house says about you. Your Pisces house shows the area of life where you show compassion, empathy, sympathy, and sensitivity. You'll let go of your ego and you will hold space for others. Now, I do want to also say here that this within itself can be challenging, because what can also happen within the Pisces house is people can try to take advantage of us. They can mistake our kindness for weakness. And so this is why, in actuality, within the Pisces house, it is so vital, so important to establish healthy boundaries, healthy limitations. But equally, there is this feeling of surrender, this feeling of wanting to do the right thing, wanting to be good to people, kind to people. In this house, we can also be highly intuitive, right? And I mean ultra intuitive. We can get a sixth sense. We can just really feel things, pick up on the vibes, pick up on our environment, right? Things that are not said, we can pick up on those. But this is also where we can feel misdirected, right? Because within the Pisces house, things can seem quite foggy. It can feel a bit like things are not so real. Things are not so secure and grounded. And so maybe this is where it's important to practice mindfulness within the Pisces house. Also, in this way, not having the answers that we need presented to us so clearly, so obviously. So yes, things can seem foggy, but it's also, I think, important to recognize that we can look within ourselves, right? This is where we notice the power of our intuition, right? The power of listening to our body, really tuning in and really sensing things. Now, it's also where we can be quite dreamy, right? So we can daydream, we can bury our heads in the sand. Facing the reality of our situation can be difficult, and this is something we also want to be mindful of, because yes, we can be rather delusional within our Pisces house. Then again, a little bit of healthy delusion can also help us cope. It can also help us follow our dreams or make things happen. So there is that. Plus, the Pisces house can show you where you are really reflective, you are really contemplative, you're able just to rest, let go, accept what is. It's just, it's a house of surrender, really, serenity. It's also a very private house. You'll focus on stillness and inner peace. And oh my goodness, it's also a house of great vision, insight, creativity, spirituality. We can really tap into our imagination within the Pisces house. Oh, and our hidden self, our dreams, and our healing are all tied to this house. All right, so now I have let you know a thing or two about the Pisces house. Of course, there is more that I could say. Let's now get into Pisces through the houses. First up, we have Pisces in the first house. You could very well have a Pisces rising here. If we were to focus in on your persona, how you present yourself to the world, you can present this image of, I can really empathize with you. I can see where you're coming from. I feel you. I can feel your pain. I can feel your sadness. I can feel your happiness. Or you can also present this image of, it will happen on its own time, right? Just trust, have faith, what will be, will be. And so you move like you're willing to go with the flow in this way, right? There's such a trusting process. And so you can bring this inner knowing, this wisdom to others too. You can be really, really empathetic towards others. Plus, it can appear as if you have this I feel inspired to follow my dreams demeanor, but you also realize how others really come into the equation as well. Another thing here is that you can present or be perceived as, rather, you can be perceived as someone who is quite daydreamy. So others can see you this way. They can see you as being in your own worlds, in your own fantasy worlds. Others can also perceive you as being quite serene, very still. They can also see you as very compassionate, really empathetic, sympathetic. And you can also come across as very wise beyond your years, also very creative. Yes, highly creative person. You're usually the one who is understanding of other people's circumstances, even though you can judge yourself quite harshly. And I'm also going to say here that others may like or dislike your sentimental and idealistic personality. Moving on to Pisces in the second house. Let's focus on your self-esteem with this one. I do realize that the second house is also about so much more. When others try to devalue you, right? So when they try to put you down, they try to diminish you, you'll disappear or you will swim away, so to speak. You can also become quite overwhelmed by emotion too. It really, I think, depends on the situation. You can just be very, very sensitive to criticism, feedback, that really, it can just basically hit a soft spot. You value how spiritual and how selfless you can be. You like even to be valued for your compassion, for your empathy, for your kindness, your generosity. Maybe it makes you feel good when others see these parts of you or they compliment you for these parts of you. But then, that's not why you do it either. It's just that's just something that comes with it. Plus, when you lack self-worth, you can be quite self-pitying. You can be overly helpless and vague too. You can even come across as a bit of a victim, where it's really as if to say, woe is me, I can never escape this, I can't get out of this. Okay, you can fall into those depths. But then again, when you know your worth, right, you are in touch with your intuition, and oh my goodness, it's very strong, it's very powerful. You're in touch with it, you trust it, you follow it, and you can also be very creative. My goodness, your skills here tied to your creativity, just off the charts. Very much in the flow, just following a stream of consciousness a lot of the time. And being shown kindness and unconditional love boosts your self-esteem. Moving on to Pisces in the third house. So let's think about your early schooling with this one. The third house is about so much more, but we're just going to focus on these areas. Maybe you were quite dreamy, or you were absent and also quite sensitive in school. So you could have been this daydreaming student. You could have lost focus quite a bit, especially when it came to subjects and topics that just did not interest you. Or you would merge with classmates you really liked. I imagine you wanting to sit by the same person every day and even just connecting on a deeper, more emotional, perhaps spiritual level with certain students. Maybe picking up on other students' pain and their suffering and their sorrows. Maybe too, you were the kid in class who was intuitive and creative with your answers. So whatever you shared, it came from a much deeper place. Maybe you even caught teachers off guard a little bit, and they might have thought, wow, you are very, very wise for saying that. Plus, we see here that you could have been quite compassionate toward other students. You could be adaptable, really adaptable, hospitable. Then again, also possibly a bit gullible, a bit delusional, maybe following along with certain things that you knew deep down were not acceptable, but you went with it anyway. There is that. And maybe too, you were willing to show kindness towards even teachers, or you would volunteer in class. Perhaps you would help out at certain charity events. You can also naturally showcase these qualities today, right? Where you are very supportive towards other students, or you can show up in supportive ways towards your siblings. Perhaps too, you were a visual and reflective learner or student. You would sit with the information for a while and you would use your imagination. And we can also see how these kinds of skills, they come into how you even learn today as an adult. Okay, so moving on to Pisces in the 4th house. Of course, we can also look at this for Pisces on the IC. Let's think about your conditioning, your early upbringing. You might have grown up with a caregiver who was evasive, who was intrusive, right? So there could have been a lack of boundaries. There was no respect for boundaries. Then again, this caregiver could have struggled with addiction. They could have struggled with their mental health. So mental illness could have been involved. So there is that. They could have just been really unwell, really sick, really poorly. Trusting the process when establishing a home or obtaining property is also very likely. You see, this is about you possessing inner faith and choosing peace. Maybe this is where we notice that when it comes to where you live later on in life, you setting up a home for yourself, raising a family of your own, you are so big on peace. You are so big on trusting in yourself, believing in yourself. Could also be here that you come from an ancestry of spiritualists, of healers, or poets, and you might inherit these very traits, these things. Plus, you might have been raised to be empathetic, to be kind, and you long for a spiritual and serene home. Now, with this being said, sure, maybe it's not that you were directly raised to be like this, but in even an indirect way, you learn to be empathetic and kind to others. You can also romanticize family traditions and how things were and are. So even being this romanticizing an individual as you create your own traditions, possibly. Perhaps also this is a way of you coping with difficult emotions. Maybe this is also where we see some escapism tendencies play out. Moving on to Pisces in the 5th house. All right, let's think about your dating life with this one. And yes, the 5th house is about so much more. Love for you can be so healing, and it can also be this transcending experience. Maybe you often find that when it comes to lovers, they feel like your soulmate. Maybe that is what is really important to you. It's finding your soulmate, someone who just gets you on a deeper level, on a more spiritual level, someone you can connect with emotionally as well, who's very sensitive and you're sensitive towards them. Maybe too, you like to feel, so as I'm trying to say here, you like to feel a deep and meaningful bond with love interests. It has to be more than the superficial, more than the image, the sexual attraction. It has to go way deeper. Somehow, you tune in with your lover's feelings. You can kind of pick up easily on when your lover, your partner isn't feeling so good, when something is off. But then I'm also going to suggest here that when it comes to your creativity, your hobbies, your art, there's that emotion that comes in. You can really tune in with whatever it is you're creating and sort of put yourself into that person's shoes and how they feel. So I imagine you, for example, painting a beautiful portrait and you're in the portrait. It's like you can see yourself in that image. Then also you can lose yourself in romantic relationships. You can really merge. This is something you got to be mindful of though. Like I said, when it comes to Pisces, there is an element of really having to establish healthy boundaries, healthy limits. So we want to be mindful here of how much you merge too. Then you may also be attracted to lovers who are quite poetic, who are artistic, who are spiritual, very empathetic, compassionate lovers. And I even just see this showing up within your friendships too. So if we think about love in general, maybe you want to show up in really empathetic ways, and that's what you yearn for. That's what you seek within relationships and when it comes to love overall. Okay, so let's now think about Pisces in the 6th house. So we're going to focus in on your productivity. You secretly want others to do things for you, possibly. That way you can relax more, or you don't have to deal with so much. But the thing about this is you also help others a great deal, okay? So you can help others with so much compassion, with so much kindness. You can go above and beyond for other people. So that to me then makes sense if it is that there are times when you just wish other people would show up in ways for you. I guess this is where, like I'm trying to say here, when it comes to the Pisces house, it can just be where there's no limits. There's no limits. Then again, we also want to think about how you need plenty of time to recharge, to rest, especially after a super busy period. A nap might actually be a part of your daily routine. So there is that. Maybe even some kind of spiritual practice is what you need throughout the day. It becomes a part of your routine. Your routine then, like I'm saying here, yes, can involve spiritual practices such as prayer, meditation, yoga, crystal work, breath work, even getting out into nature, going for a nice short walk, spending time with friends, going for a cycle, a bike ride. Typically, you allow your intuition to be your guide when it comes to planning your day. So there is this little room for the unknown when it comes to your day-to-day life. And so, yes, you will follow your intuition when it comes to doing your tasks and completing your everyday chores and responsibilities. I hope you are enjoying this video so far, and if you are, then please be sure to give the video a like and subscribe for more. And if you're interested in learning more about astrology, then you can always pick up a copy of my astrology cheat sheets. The links are down below. Thank you so much. Okay, so let's now think about Pisces in the 7th house, and of course you could have Pisces on the descendant with this one. Relationships help you grow spiritually and emotionally. Through the ups and downs, you become wiser. Yes, you become much more patient, you become much more sympathetic and empathetic and really in tune with other people. But then I also think that you learn through others that there's only so much you can give, okay? Learning to identify when your cup is well and truly full. You may also be unaware of how gullible, how delusional and dependent you can be within your relationships. So there is that. And this could also be a case of times when you take off the rose-colored glasses, right? Times whenever a certain bubble is burst and then you see the reality of a situation. So yes, and I think in this way, it's through those moments that you learn so much about yourself too. Through another, you discover parts of yourself that are actually very tender, very empathetic, and caring, right? Really caring about other people, wanting the best for other people. But I think through others, you also learn about who can be really manipulative, who can mistake your kindness for weakness, people like that. Now, you can also be idealistic about marriage, or you will make many sacrifices to keep things going. So you might try to save the other person. And again, I think these are the kinds of things that you come to learn about and hopefully change within your life. Lastly, then, I'm also going to say partners and close friends, even close relatives, they can bring out your creative and expansive attitudes. So it's through others in a way that you learn how to think bigger, how to believe in your dreams, how to follow them. All right, so if Pisces is in the 8th house in your chart, let's just think about intimate relationships here. Maybe you are more willing to share your deeper feelings, your deeper thoughts when you're under the influence. There is that, you're more willing to open up. Or when you feel a close bond with someone. However, you can also lose yourself in other people's feelings too. Subconsciously, you can act as a healer or as a savior for others with emotional and psychological issues. And so in this way, I think you can be very gifted at supporting other people through loss. It's almost like you just naturally know what to do and how to support other people through loss. And I think a part of that is because you have experienced significant loss of some kind, of some sort throughout your life. Okay, darker emotions of grief, despair, fear, and also loneliness must be channeled in healthy ways here. Plus, you might enjoy spiritual and emotional intimacy, where you can experience more of this meaningful, this spiritual bond with another. You want to merge and feel like you're at one with your partner. Again, however, as I'm trying to get at here, we want to be mindful of merging too much, okay? Because this can be where manipulation can come into it, people taking advantage, taking you for granted, all those kinds of things. Then you might also like exploring your imagination and many fantasies in the bedroom. Perhaps acting, right? So a bit of role play, or making a tape, possibly making a tape, could be big turn-ons. And so in this regard, sure, these could be dreams that you want to make happen, you want to bring to life. All right, so let's think about Pisces in the 9th house. Well, you can show compassion when it comes to the likes of politics, religion, science, metaphysics, philosophy. There is often something spiritual about your understanding of things, your teachings, your offerings. So what you share, what you publish, what you broadcast to the world certainly can showcase this spiritual element. You can also be selfless and rather idealistic regarding your morals and your ethics. You'll reflect on your morality, and also perhaps you dream of a more peaceful world, a more tranquil world. You're also willing to empathize with other people's beliefs and their worldviews, and you can often show devotion towards your own. Though I also think that when others are super demanding or preachy, or they challenge you in inappropriate ways, that is when I think you can become really annoyed and upset, right? I even think about you becoming very emotional. You also tend to be emotional, sensitive, and expansive about your beliefs. Your feelings influence your beliefs, but you can also be quite impressionable, right? We want to be maybe a little bit mindful of being overly gullible or easily influenced by others, by the words that other people preach too. And your philosophies may include supporting the helpless, being loving and kind and generous, and connecting with your inner guide. All right, so let's think about Pisces in the 10th or Pisces on the midheaven. You seek to accomplish something that is creative and mystical, such as getting into music, film, an art role. So it could be a music role, a film role, an art role, or a profession that involves your psychic or healing abilities too. Yes. Plus, you might feel accomplished when you feel spiritually aligned and you follow your inner guide. And so, in this way, yeah, your road to success can be quite fluid. Okay, it can be flexible, it can change often, especially whenever you are more so connecting with your intuition rather than external validation, external success. You can also become quite evasive of others who are not so empathetic or kind as you make your way towards achieving success. Yes, so you might avoid certain people in the public eye within your career field, your profession, etc., especially if you just don't feel like you are aligned spiritually, you don't have the same spiritual values. Then the public also will notice how you have a deep desire to pursue, could be possibly many accomplishments. So what you wish to accomplish one moment, it might change the next. And that's all part of your process. That's just the way it goes. Lastly, then, your greatest accomplishments may include meditation, inner work, guidance, mediumship, yoga, dance, poetry, fantasy, retreating, right? So even hosting retreats, relaxation, or photography, film. Moving on then to Pisces in the 11th house, let's just think about your future hopes with this one. The social utopia you dream of could very well include humanity being empathetic and showing compassion towards one another. You are deeply saddened by the cruelty of the world, and you're very sensitive to human suffering, but not just human suffering. I'm just going to say suffering overall, very, very sensitive to it. I think about animals here, for example. Now, your future could involve merging with and giving selflessly to causes, to movements, communities that need support. I think about you really giving to charity and volunteering and just, really being there for other people, especially when it comes to certain groups or organizations that you believe in. You hope to cleanse society and to see others soften. You wish others would just open their hearts to be more accepting, right? You're on this mission as well to transcend the status quo and to intuitively pursue your dreams. For example, this could be about poetry, symbolism, painting, photography, healing, or working with the unconscious. Plus, you are dreamy, visual, you are quite imaginative about the future, making you very idealistic indeed. You put a lot of faith and trust in divine timing, and you truly learn, I think, to flow with life. Lastly then, Pisces in the 12th house. Right, so let's consider spirituality here. Your self-undoing involves being evasive, being passive, lacking boundaries, and having little self-control. Your spiritual practices may include meditation, prayer, substances possibly, music as well, healing, yoga, practicing self-forgiveness, self-compassion, and in a past life, perhaps you were a spiritual guide, a healer, a fisher, you were a poet, a painter, and it's these things that are very much tied to the karma you experience in this life. Plus, reconnecting with the parts of yourself that are imaginative, that are inspirational, and that are very compassionate, well, these are the kinds of things that will help create wholeness and spiritual unity within your life. And lastly, your dreams can symbolize your many emotions, okay? You can get these big premonitions, these psychic hits. I mean, they can often happen. It's almost like you dream of something and then that thing could come true, or there's a symbol in your dream that you then recognize in the real world. So in this way, I suppose your dreams can really help guide you. But I think too, your dreams can also symbolize what you're suffering with, right? Maybe you can get reoccurring nightmares, or there can be these sudden images, or these images that keep coming up, they keep repeating essentially. And so maybe they ask you to pay close attention. I also think about you seeing certain angel numbers, or just being able to pick up on the signs very, very well. Maybe in this regard, you tune in with your intuition, and by doing that, you're reminded that you're on the right path. Okay then, Cosmic Warriors, so that concludes today's video all about Pisces through the houses. So what your Pisces house really says about you. And on that note, that concludes all of the signs through the houses. So this is the final video of the series. Thank you all so much to all of you who have watched along. I have enjoyed this process, and essentially I just hope that you have found this video to be helpful. You learned something new. If you did find it to be helpful, you can always buy me a coffee. Subscribe for more if you haven't already. Give the video a like if you did like it today. Thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned for more, and of course I will catch you in the next one. Bye.